everyone, welcome back to another spine-chilling episode of Horror Talks with Tate. My name is Tate and I'm your host for this podcast, and I'm very excited to tell you all about another horror movie. In this podcast, we plunge into the depth of intricate plots, delve into rich character development, thematic elements, explore director's cuts, and so much more within the horror genre. So for this episode, we will be discovering the sixth installment of a sci-fi horror franchise, Alien. The film is called Alien Covenant, and the story itself takes place in the year 2114, 11 years after the Prometheus expedition went missing. The colonization ship Covenant is en route to the planet Orgi 6, but a mysterious transmission of a human voice makes the crew look for answers in a nearby planet with Earth-like characteristic. It also brings back the iconic Xenomorph, and they are more deadly and terrifying than ever. Let's head on to the first segment of Horror Talks with Tate, Spooky Summaries, and discuss the plot details for the movie Alien Covenant. The plot begins when the crew of the Covenant is awakened from cryosleep by a solar flare. They receive a mysterious transmission by a nearby planet that seems more habitable than their original destination. Deciding to investigate, they land on this remote world. Once again, they discover the planet is eerily desolate, but find remnants of the engineer's civilization from Prometheus. They also meet David, the synthetic from the previous film, who has been living alone after the events of Prometheus. David explains that the planet's inhabitants were wiped out by a bioweapon which he has been experimenting with. Now that Spooky Summaries is done, let's head on to discrete directors and talk about the histories of the making of Alien Covenant. The movie was directed and produced by Ridley Scott and was written by John Logan and Dante Harper. Ridley Scott has a distinctive visual and narrative style that combines grand physical themes with tense, visceral horror. In Alien Covenant, his style manifests in the following ways: atmosphere and cinematographic. Scott creates a dark, moody atmosphere with a mix of sweeping, majestic landscapes and tight claustrophobic interiors. His use of lighting and shadow enchants tension, and the cinematography often contrasts the beauty of alien worlds with the terror of their danger. Philosophical themes. Like in Prometheus, Scott continues to explore the big existential questions about creation, artificial intelligence, and the relationship between creator and creation. These themes are intertwined with horror and violence, especially through the characters of David, an android whose philosophical musings often leads to terrifying consequences. Body horror and gore. Alien Covenant is a return to the body horror that made the original Alien film so iconic. The film includes graphic, disturbing depictions of alien creatures violently emerging from human bodies, along with gory and grotesque practical effects that are meant to shock and unsettle the audience. The actors and characters are: Michael Fassbender plays dual roles, David, the synthetic android from Prometheus who has his own agenda, and Walter, another synthetic android more advanced and loyal to his human crew. Catherine Waterston as Daniels, Billy Crudup as Christopher Oram, and Danny McBride as Tennessee. In Alien Covenant, the performances of the main actors were generally well received. contributing significantly to the atmosphere and intensity of the film. Here's a breakdown of some key performance. Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender's dual role as both David, a returning character from Prometheus, and Walter, a newer android model, was a highlight of the film for many. Fassbender brought newness to each role, making David a more sinister and complex character, while portraying Walter as a loyal and morally sound. His ability to convictingly switch between the two roles, sometimes even interacting with himself in the same scenes, was praised for its technical skill and emotional depth. David, in particular, stood out as a chilling, philosophical antagonist. Catherine Waterston as Daniels. Catherine Waterston plays a role of Daniels, the ship's terraforming expert and one of the main protagonists. She was often compared to Sigourney Weaver's Ellen Ripley from the original Alien series due to her tough and resourceful demeanor. Waterston's performance was praised for its vulnerability and resilience, though some critics feel the characters lacked the full complexity of Ripley. Nevertheless, she carried much of the emotional weight of the film and was effective in her action sequences. Billy Crudup as Orman. Billy Crudup played Christopher Orman, the Covenant's first mate, who takes over as captain. His performance as a reluctant and insecure leader was solid, portraying a man torn between his fate and his responsibility to his crew. Some critics noted that while Crudup performed well with the material he was given, the character's development could have been explored more. Danny McBride as Tennessee. Danny McBride, known primarily for his comedic roles, surprised many with his more dramatic performance as Tennessee, the Covenant's pilot. He brought some levity to the film, but also delivered in intense moments, particularly when the crew is in peril. His portrayal was well received for showing a broader range of his acting abilities, adding heart to his character. Supporting cast. Actors like Cameron Ejogo, Karen Orman, and Jussie Smollett as Rex gave good performance, though their roles were more limited in scope. The ensemble cast helped build the suspense and horror, even though some characters were more expendable than others, typical of the Alien franchise. Overall, the performance in Alien Covenant were a strong point, with Fassbender stealing the show in his dual role. The cast helped accord the film's darker themes of creation, destruction, and survival. The narrative structure of Alien Covenant follows a traditional three-act structure, blending science fiction, horror, and existential themes while serving as a sequel to Prometheus and a prequel to the original Alien. Here's a breakdown. Introduction of the Covenant mission. The story opens with the crew of the colony ship Covenant en route to the distant planet RG-6, with thousands of colonists and embryos on board. They're seeking to start a new human civilization. A solar flare hits the ship, and Walter, the cybernetic android, an updated version of Prometheus David, wakes the crew to prepare damage. During repair, the crew intercepts a mysterious transmission in direction to a new planet. The transmission leads the crew to a nearby seemingly habitable planet that is much closer than their original destination. The crew decided to investigate, believing it could be an ideal place for colonization, though the ship's captain, Daniels, has misgivings. Arrival and exploration. Upon arriving at the planet, the crew finds it lush but eerily quiet. As they explore, they encounter signs of a previous disaster and are unknowingly exposed to a deadly pathogen, the black goo from Prometheus. Here's a breakdown of the key settings in Alien Covenant. Number 1. The Covenant ship. This is where the movie starts. The ship is a massive high-tech shipcraft designed for long-term travel. It houses a small crew of colonists and an android named Walter, who maintain the ship while the human crew sleep. The ship is damaged in a cosmic event, forcing the crew to awaken and make repairs. Number 2. The Mysterious Planet. After the ship is damaged, the crew intercepts a signal from a nearby planet that appears more suitable for colonization than Orgy 6. They decide to investigate and land on the surface, which is covered in forests, mountains, and rivers, seemingly ideal for human life. However, this planet hides a dark secret. It's a home of the engineers, first introduced in Prometheus, and is also the site where the Synthetic David has been conducted experiments with the alien Xenomorph species. The planet has an eerie, desolate atmosphere with remnants of an ancient, advanced civilization that has fallen. Number 3. The Engineer City. The crew eventually stumbles upon a ruined city that was once inhabited by the engineers. The city is filled with grand architecture, but it's silent, with no living engineers to be found. This setting is haunting and monumental, contributing to the sense of dread as the crew realize something catastrophic has occurred. And number 4, David's Lair. Another key location is David's hideout, where he has been experimenting with the black goo bioweapon from Prometheus, leading to the creation of new alien forms. His laboratory is filled with grotesque specimens and drawings of his experiments. The setting of Alien Covenant combines isolation, mystery, and horror, moving from the high-tech confines of a spaceship to an eerie, ancient ruins of a fallen civilization on a hostile planet. The music and sound design for Alien Covenant plays a crucial role in shaping the atmosphere of tension and dread throughout the film. Here are key elements. Number 1. Composer, Jed Cruzel. Alien Covenant was scored by Jed Cruzel, an Australian composer known for his atmospheric and brooding style. His score for the film is a blend of orchestral and electronic music, creating a sense of unease and impending doom. The soundtrack includes both original pieces and reference to Jerry Goldsmith's iconic score from Alien. This creates a nostalgic connection to the original film, while also modernizing the soundscape with darker, more intense themes. Cruzel used minimalist compositions and dissonant strings, often building tension with long, sustained notes and sudden jarring crescendo. Number 2. Sound design. Surrounding sounds and environments. The sound design team used intricate soundscapes to immerse the audience into the environment, whether it was the unsettling silence of deep space, the eerie isolation of the planet, and the violent confrontation with the creatures. Creature sounds. The sound of the Neomorphs and Xenomorphs was carefully crafted. They used a combination of animal sounds, bravely growls, and synthetic noises to create a distinct and terrifying auditory presence for the creatures. The shrieks and clicks, especially during attacks, are spine-chilling. Ship sounds. The ambient noises of the spaceship, from mechanical whirring to the hum of engines, adds a claustrophobic atmosphere, making the audience feel as though they are trapped in the ship alongside the characters. Silence and subtlety. The sound design effectively uses silence as key moments to heighten tension. The absence of sounds during certain scenes allows for a sudden contrast when chaos erupts, amplifying the shock factor. Together, Cruisel's score and the intricate sound design create a dark, ominous atmosphere that enchants the horror and suspense throughout Alien Covenant. The audio elements complement the visual storytelling by building an oppressive mood, evoking both awe and fear. The history of Alien Covenant is an interesting journey that links it to both the broader Alien franchise and Scott's early film, Prometheus. Here's a breakdown of key developments in its production history. Number 1. Prometheus and conceptualization. After Prometheus, Ridley Scott had made it clear that he wanted to expand the Alien universe, but initially, the sequel to Prometheus wasn't intended to directly involve the Xenomorphs, the iconic creatures from the original Alien films. Scott was more interested in exploring the engineers and the creation myth touched on in Prometheus, as well as the origin of humanity. This continuation was going to be more philosophical exploration of life, artificial intelligence, and creation. Number 2. The shift back to horror. However, fans were divided about Prometheus. Many felt it lacked the core horror elements of the original Alien films and left questions unanswered. This feedback, along with the studio's desire to return to the franchise horror roots, influenced Scott to make significant changes in the sequel's direction. Around 2014, Scott hints that the next movie would bring the Xenomorphs back in some form, but he still wanted to maintain the connection to the bigger themes introduced in Prometheus. Number 3. Development of the script. The script for Alien Covenant underwent several changes. Originally, it was being developed under the title Alien Paradise Lost, referencing John Milton's epic poem, which elicited with the film's themes of rebellion, creation, and destruction. Over time, the focus shifts more towards bridging the gap between Prometheus and the original Alien film. Screenwriters John Logan, who had worked on Gladiator with Scott, and Dante Harper were brought in to reshape the script. Harper's version was later reworked by Logan, who added a darker, more horrific tone to align with the original Alien films. Number 4. Filming. Filming began in early 2016 in various locations, including Australia and New Zealand. The production design was extensive, with Scott pushing for practical effects wherever possible, combined with modern CGI. This blend aimed to create the immersive world that paid homage to the horror aesthetic of the 1979 original, while utilizing modern technology to bring new life of the Xenomorph and Neomorphs. Number 5. Release and reception. Alien Covenant was released in the 11th of May 2017. It received a mix of reviews, praised for its atmosphere, tension, and Fassbender's performance, but criticized for its uneven plots and pacing. Some fans appreciate the return to horror, while others were disappointed by the lack of character development and answers to questions left hanging from Prometheus. The budget of the movie was 97 out of $111 million, and the box office was $240.9 million. And about the ratings, the movie received an IMDb score of 6.4 out of 10 and a Rotten Tomatoes score of 65%. Despite these mixed reactions, the film remains a visual striking entry in the Alien saga, blending philosophical questions with horror and action elements, continuing Ridley Scott's exploration of creation, destruction, and the monstrous unknown. Ultimately, Alien Covenant is both a continuation of the themes Scott introduced in Prometheus and a bridge back to the primal horror of the original Alien series. It plays a central role in the broader mythology of the Alien universe, while also leaving room for the potential future stories. Alien Covenant received mixed reviews, but still earned some nomination and awards, particularly for its visual effects and technical achievements. Here are the notable ones. Number 1, Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. Nominated for Best Science Fiction Film, Best Director, Ridley Scott, Best Actress, Catherine Waterston, Best Supporting Actor, Danny McBride, Best Production Design, Chris Seegers, Best Editing, and Best Makeup. Number 2, Australian Production Design Guild Award. 1 for Best Production Design in the Feature Film. Number 3, Golden Trailer Awards. Nominated for Best Horror Poster and Best Sound Editing TV Spot. And number 4, the Location Manager's Guide International Awards. Nominated for Outstanding Location in a Period Film. While Alien Covenant didn't receive major awards from prominent organizations like the Oscars, it was recognized for its craftsmanship in the sci-fi genre, especially for its production's design and special effects. In Alien Covenant, the filmmakers used a combination of practical effects, props, CGI, and weapons to bring the Xenomorph and the other creatures to life. Here's a breakdown for the key elements. Number 1, props and weapons. Starting with weapons. The crew of the Covenant used a variety of futuristic firearms, but the main weapons features include assault rifles and shotguns. These weapons are designed for military and survival purposes in the film, and they have a rugged industrial design to fit the space exploration setting. Flamethrowers. A staple in the Alien franchise, flamethrowers are used to fend off the creatures. Practical props versions were used in some scenes. Explosives. Grenades and other explosives are used in high-tension moments, especially during the crew's attacks against the Xenomorph and Neomorph. David's Lab. The film features detailed prop works for David's Lab, which contains various preserved alien specimens and body parts displayed in jar and mounted on walls. This space showcased intricate props that blends biological horror with significant equipment, spacecraft, and sets. The Covenant ship itself is a large practical set featuring control rooms, cryo chambers, and living quarters that were built to create a realistic environment. The ship's bridge, medbay, and lander vessel had detailed practical interiors as well. Number 2, creature effects and CGI. Neomorphs. The new creature introduced in Alien Covenant, the Neomorphs, were a mix of practical effects and CGI. The baby Neomorphs bursting from the back or mouth of their human host involved CGI to create a rabid, grotesque immersions, but practical puppets were also used for close-up shots. Xenomorphs. The iconic Xenomorph in Alien Covenant were created permanently using CGI, allowing for more fluid and aggressive movements compared to earlier films. However, practical effects such as animatronics and puppet heads were used in close-up scenes to maintain realism when the creatures interact with actors. Chest bursters. Similar to the previous films, chest bursting scenes use a combination of practical effects and CGI. The bursting moments, like when a creature emerges from the back or chest of a human host, often starts with practical elements and transition into CGI for the creature's full form and movements. Engineers City. The city of the engineers, the advanced race seen in Prometheus, was mostly created throughout CGI, with some large-scale set pieces for interaction. The devastation that David unleashes on the city is a massive CGI event. Number 3. CGI environments and enchantment. Planetary's environments. The world where the crew of the Covenant lands is largely enchanted throughout CGI. While some nature environments were filmed, the eerie, desolate landscapes with looming mountains and alien vegetation was created digitally. David's experiments. The various alien creatures and hybrid experiments that David has been working on are apparently CGI, allowing for strange and grotesque designs that would be difficult to achieve practically. Number 4. Notable practical effects. Facehugger attack. Practical effects and animatronics were used in some facehugger attack scenes to capture the close-up, frantic struggles of the facehuggers latching onto victims. Blood and gore. Much of the blood and viscera during alien attacks was created with practical effects, with CGI enchanting the action for splatter and quick movements. Overall, Alien Covenant blends practical prop design and creature effects with CGI to build tension and bring the alien creatures to life in terrifying detail. The use of both techniques creates a seamless, immersive atmosphere, especially during intense action sequences and creatures' interactions. In Alien Covenant, foreshadowing plays a key role in building tension and hinting at future events, often through subtle clues that tie into both the Alien franchise lore and the film's own narrative. Here are a few notable examples for foreshadowing. Number 1. David's ominous behavior. Early in the film, David's eerie conversation, especially with Walter and the crew, foreshadowed his obsession with creation and his sinister intention. While David quotes Ozymandias, a poem about a king whose grand empire is now in ruins, it hints that his god complex and his view of humanity as inferior, setting the stage for his role as a creator of the Xenomorph. Number 2. The fate of the engineer. The devastation of the engineer's home world, which is revealed through flashbacks, foreshadows David's willingness to destroy anything in pursuit of his perfect creation. It also hints at the dark history behind the black goo seen in Prometheus, showing how it ultimately led to an extinction of the engineers. Number 3. The Neomorph attack. In earlier scenes with the crew exploring the planet, finding spores and infected plants foreshadows the deadly Neomorphs. The quiet, almost mundane discovery of the fungal spores set up the horrific scene when two crew members are infected, emphasizing that danger lurks in unexpected places. Number 4. Shaw's disappearance. The absence of Elizabeth Shaw, who survived Prometheus, is an ominous sign. Her fate is gradually hinted at throughout the movie, particularly in David's lavatory, which foreshadows the revelation that she was a victim of David's experiments in his quest to create the Xenomorph. Number 5. David and Walter's duel. The growing tension between David and Walter foreshadows their eventual confrontation. When David tries to teach Walter how to play the flute, it symbolized David's desire for dominance over his brother and foreshadowed his attempt to replace Walter later in the film. Number 6. The Covenant's mission. The fact that the Covenant's crew is on a colonization mission foreshadows the larger scale of danger that could arise if the Xenomorphs were to escape and reach Earth or other colonies. It raised the stake beyond the immediate survival of the crew, hinting at a wider catastrophe. These moments of foreshadowing deepens the sense of dread throughout the film, making the audience feel that something terrible is coming long before the horrific events unfold. Now, horror fans, let's head on to Insane Insiders, the last segment of this episode, and discover the Easter eggs, fun facts, and the audience reviews for Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant is filled with Easter eggs, reference, and callbacks to the previous films in the Alien franchise, as well as connections to broader sci-fi themes. Here are some key ones. Number 1. Xenomorph life cycle. The movie features many stages of the Xenomorph life cycle, including the Neomorph, which can be seen as an evolution of the creature. This variety of alien life form pay homage to the original film and a wider mythology. Number 2. Engineer Homeworld. The planet that the Covenant crew lands on is the home of the engineers, a direct link to the engineers from Prometheus. Their homeworld and the mystery surrounding their extinction give more backgrounds to the question raised in the previous film. Number 3. The birth of the Xenomorph. The final form of the Xenomorph we see in Alien Covenant is an early version of the creature from the original Alien, giving fans a direct link between the prequels and the classic series. Number 4. Nostromo crew member reference. Daniels, played by Catherine Waterson, has a hairstyle very similar to Ripley, who is played by Sigourney Weaver, in the original Alien film. This visual parallel hints at Daniels filling a similar role to Ripley as a resourceful female lead. Here are some fun facts about the movie. Number 1. Return of practical effects. While Prometheus used a lot of CGI, Alien Covenant brought back more practical effects, especially for the Xenomorph and Neomorph creatures. Some of the monster sequences used actors in suits and animatronic, which gave a more tactile feel, similar to the original Alien. Number 2. Michael Fassbender's double role. Michael Fassbender played two androids, David and Walter, with distinct personalities and asset. He works with a Dalek coach to recognize Walter's American accent from David's British one, and his performance as two characters in the same scenes are seamless. Number 3. Homage to Alien. The movie contains many nods to the original Alien, such as similar camera angles and a return of the chestburster scene. The ship's name, Covenant, is even a subtle reference to the Nostromo, the spacecraft in Alien. Number 4. Ridley Scott's return to horror roots. Alien Covenant shifts more towards the horror elements that defines the first Alien, with gruesome creature attacks and a tense, claustrophobic atmosphere. Scott aimed to balance the science fiction aspect of Prometheus with the terror of Alien. And number 5, the Xenomorph origin. This film explores the origins of the Xenomorph species, answering long-held questions about its creation. David, the android from Prometheus, plays a pivotal role in the evolution of the creatures. Audience reviews for Alien Covenant are quite mixed. Some viewers enjoyed the movie for its dark and eerie atmosphere, building on the themes introduced in Prometheus. Michael Fassbender's performance as David is widely praised, and many appreciated the exploration of the Xenomorph origins. The set design and visuals, including CGI, were also commended by several reviewers who found them effective in creating a tense, foreboding atmosphere. However, the film has its share of detractor. Common complaints include poor character decisions, which many found unrealistic given that the characters are supposed to be highly trained astronauts. Some felt the plot was predictable, with uninspired writing that failed to live up to earlier installments in the Alien franchise. A number of viewers were also disappointed with the special effects, describing the aliens as looking overly cartoonish compared to the practical effects used in earlier films. In summary, while Alien Covenant captivated some audience with its style and lore, others found the film underwhelming, particularly in terms of plot and character development. Before we wrap up today's episode, I'm about to tell you all about my thoughts and review of the movie. I really enjoyed this movie just as much as the other films in the Alien franchise. This one, in particular, was gruesome in all the best ways, and I was thrilled to finally see the Xenomorph make its return after being absent in Prometheus. The story was captivating from start to finish, keeping you on edge, and the CGI was nothing short of spectacular. The alien creatures looked incredibly realistic and utterly terrifying, adding to the overall tension of the film. On top of that, the acting was exceptional, with each cast members bringing their characters to life with a lot of depth and intensity. If you're a fan of the Alien series, or even if you're new to it, this is a must-see. I'm confided you will love this as much as I did. Well, this concludes today's episode of Horror Talks with Tate. Thank you so much for listening, and I will be back next time to talk about the next Alien movie, which is a new one that came out this year, Alien Romulus. Make sure to follow, rate, and review this podcast to grow more horror fans like yourself. If you want to stay tuned for more episodes and exciting news, go follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to keep your eyes on them. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for episodes which I will be working on very soon. And follow me on TikTok for spooky and funny horror videos. Don't forget to check out this movie if you haven't seen it yet, and find out more origin of the Alien universe. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, stay spooky or I'll be in your head.